All right, guys, I'd like to think I'm a fairly disciplined person, maybe except for my little drinking habit. And I don't even really like desserts, but when it comes to banana pudding, it's absolutely irresistible to me. And today I'm going to show you how to make it quick and easy and delicious. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen. All right, so today we're making a couple things from scratch, but the pudding is not one of them. We're keeping it quick, simple, easy, but it's still gonna be delicious. First things first, we're adding in 2 cups of cold whole milk. That's going in first, and then we're using 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. This is gonna bring the sweetness to the party. It's also gonna add great texture to your pudding. Make sure you get it all in there. So we're gonna get a tool to scrape this. So we're gonna make the caramel drizzle from scratch. I like to add the caramel to my banana pudding. It's definitely a fat boy move, but what do you want me to say? So in goes the sweetened condensed milk. And then 1 packet of your favorite banana pudding mix. We're gonna whisk that together, let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, and you got some delicious pudding. So when it comes to making things from scratch, I like to focus on what's the most bang for your buck. So for me, we're gonna make the whipped cream from scratch because it's way better than the Cool Whip that you get from the store. And then we're also gonna make the caramel sauce from scratch because that's a hell of a lot better than the Ben & Jerry stuff or whatever you find in the ice cream section. So we're gonna whisk this together. The pudding's gonna be great. We're gonna fold in the whipped cream that we're gonna make. I'm using Chessman cookies along with the vanilla wafers. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't infuse this with a little bit of 99 bananas. All right, guys, next up, we're making our whipped cream from scratch. For that, you need a hand mixer or a KitchenAid. Makes it a little easier for you. 3 cups of heavy whipping cream going in. We're gonna use a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Preferably the good stuff. And then basically we're gonna whisk that or mix it until it starts to form peaks, which I'll show you what that means here in a second. It's gonna take a little bit of effort, a little bit of time. Don't over mix it though, because then it's gonna start to turn into butter. And just mix it until you get whipped cream. All right, guys, we got our fancy hand mixer here, and we're gonna mix this until it starts to peak. So it's gonna thicken up a bit, and it'll form peaks, kind of like a mountain peak. And that's when you know that the whipped cream is ready. Obviously, you want to taste and adjust for sweetness. If you want to sweeten it up, you can add a little bit more sugar, a little bit more vanilla extract if it needs more vanilla flavor. But it's just a waiting game at this point. So it'll take, a few minutes. Just be patient with it. Try not to make a mess like I've been doing. And you'll have yourself some delicious whipped cream. Serve it with your coffee, desserts. Can't go wrong. Great and banana pudding. So as you can see, my fancy hand mixer died, and we won't have time to charge it. So we're gonna use the hand mixer that God gave us and a little elbow grease and just keep mixing until you get those peaks. We're getting pretty close. As you can see, it's thickening up nicely. It's tasting good too. So get your forearm workout in. That's how grandma had to do it. Maybe great grandma, depending on how old you are. But we're getting there. Whipped cream, people. Next up, we're gonna fold our homemade whipped cream into our boxed banana pudding. It all works out in the end. Save yourself the hassle. Because, to be honest, the boxed pudding is pretty damn good. All right, so it's nice and set. As you can see, it's thickened up a bit in the fridge. We're just gonna fold all of this together. And then we're gonna make that homemade banana infused caramel. You can serve this up any time of the day. Great for a cookout, summer, springtime. Again, because you don't have to turn the oven on, don't have to warm the house up too much. And I just love banana pudding, so it's good any time of year. Holidays, whatever. Just mix it until it's well combined, evenly distributed. And it'll be time to plate this up. All right, guys, next up is the banana prep. You want to try to find the most ripe bananas you can at the grocery store. These could actually be a little bit more ripe, but we're using what we got. We're going to cut them into thin medallions, and it's really as simple as that. If you're one of those people that don't like banana in your banana pudding, I'm going to pretend like I'm not going to judge you, but when you tell me that, I'm thinking very bad things about you. Next up, we're going to make our banana liqueur infused caramel. For that, we need 1 cup of white sugar, and we're just going to whisk that over medium heat until it starts to melt and dissolve. It's going to take a little bit of time. You just got to be patient with it. Just keep moving it around until it begins to melt, and it'll start to turn color. So it'll go from like a clear kind of color, almost like a glaze look, and it'll start to get a little bit darker to a caramel color consistency. We'll remove it from the heat, add in that butter. So before it begins to fully melt, it'll form like crystals, like you see right here. And then right after that, it'll start to get a little bit darker, start to look kind of like caramel in complexion, and then it'll melt nicely. Once it's melted, we'll add in that butter off the heat, because when you add the butter, there's a chemical reaction that's going to cause it to kind of bubble up quite a bit. So don't get alarmed, it's very normal. But you do want to do that off the heat so it doesn't, overflow on you. Next, we're going in with 6 tablespoons of butter off the heat. As you can see, boils up kind of violently, but don't be alarmed, very normal. Once it cools off a bit, it'll look just like caramel, at which point we'll add our banana liqueur. If you want to, you can leave that out. And then we'll add in our heavy cream, strain it into a squirt bottle or a gravy boat if you want to use that, if you don't have a squirt bottle handy. Then we'll use that to kind of garnish the top of our banana pudding. A little pinch of salt for good measure. A little shot of the 99 bananas, because why the hell not? We're here for a good time, not a long time. That'll cook off pretty quickly. And then in goes the heavy cream. So at some point during the process of making your own caramel, you're going to think you screwed it up. But you didn't. Just stay the course. Have faith in the recipe and be patient. You end up something that looks like you work at Werther's Original. It'll thicken up as it cools a bit. We're going to let it cool before we go ahead and filter it into our squirt bottle. And then we got caramel sauce. Now, my friends, it's time to assemble. We're going down with some cookies first, the way the good Lord intended. Extra cookies. We got some chessmen cookies. We're doing it the right way. Like that. Then we'll go around the sides too. The best we can. You can get one of these clear glass bowls from Amazon, Target. Everywhere sells them these days. Nice for banana pudding, but if you're at a cookout, throw it in a foil pan and plate me up. I'm not going to complain. Can't go wrong. Then we're going with our banana pudding. And just repeat the layers. Bananas are going down next. More cookies, more pudding. And then the top's going to get that homemade whipped cream with some chessmen cookies. You want to do this up until the top point of the cookies. Mostly for the visual appearance on the sides of the plate or the bowl. If you don't care about the size of your back, you can go ahead and squirt some caramel in there now. But we're going to save it to the end. Mostly because I don't want it to be too sweet. And that caramel is going to be nice and sweet. So it's going to be a nice little bite of sweetness, but not overpowering. Then we're going down with some bananas. We'll line them up too. Last but not least, people, time to go ahead and add our chessmen cookies to the top. We're going to lay them flat. You can stand them up if you want to. I'm going to kind of stagger them a little bit. I like to crumble the vanilla wafers to fill in the gaps. These are kind of broken, so it'll be all right once we add the vanilla wafers and that caramel drizzle. Can't forget that. Then I like to take the vanilla wafers and just crumble them right into the little gaps. Can't have too much cookie in your banana pudding. At least not for me. Last but not least, that caramel drizzle. Do it in both directions. There you have it, my friends. Banana pudding. All right, people, now it's time to plate this up. You can skip the caramel step if you want to, but I would advise you to make the caramel for sure. This is the part where I say, brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys. Looking good. The only thing left to do is dig in for the taste test. But before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, my friends. I'm going to have to get this out of the house. So make some phone calls and see who already gave up on their summer body and tell them to come pick this up, because if this stays in the fridge, I'm going to eat it. All right, moment of truth. Now ideally, this should sit in the fridge for like a day or so for everything to come together, but I don't got time for that. Wow. Sure. Need a banana.
Yeah. Need a banana.
There it is.
You got a banana?
That's the one right there. That's the one right there. The warm caramel?